Welcome everyone to another edition of Lightest and Best, where we evaluate the lightest and best offerings from a variety of knife manufacturers. And today we're evaluating the knife manufacturer Shirogorov. We're looking at the Shirogorov 111. The 111 actually isn't anywhere near the lightest and best. Actually, it's one of the largest and heaviest editions of the Shirogorov, but for a pocket sword, it is the lightest and best. The lightest and best actually that Shirogorov company makes is the Shirogorov Neon, and here's an example of the Neon. The Neon is a 3 1/4 inch blade that comes in at 3 ounces. This blade is the lightest and best they have in the 111. The 111 has a blade which is 4 1/4 to 4 1/2 inches, depending on if you measure it from the tip of the bolster or the heel of the bolster to the tip of the blade. It is an amazingly large knife. It is beautiful, and coming in at 5.1 ounces, it is the lightest and best if you want a pocket sword that approaches 4 1/2 inches in blade length. The knife maker Shirogorov is started by Sergei and Igor Shirogorov. They live in Russia. They have a fanatical attention to detail and an exceptional fit and finish. It's difficult to find the 111. Currently in America, there are a couple companies I know of that sell the Shirogorov brand. One is From Russia with From Russia with Knives, and the other is Rus Blades. I'll put their URLs and websites down in the notes section. At the time of this video, From Russia with Knives had no 111s in stock, and Rus Blade only had a custom 111 on stock selling for $2,790. I don't see that it was that much different than mine. Mine has an M390 steel. This had an S90V steel. I consider the M390 to be a superior steel. Let's talk about the blade specifications of the 111. The blade length is 4 1/4 inches to 4 1/2, as I had mentioned, depending on where you measure it. One of the websites measured it at 4.375, so I guess you could take an in-between measurement. The handle length is 5 1/2 inches. And it gives the total knife length a 9 3/4 inch length, just a 1/4 inch shy of a 10-inch blade. As I mentioned, the weight is 5.1 ounces. To compare it against some of its peers, there is its little brother, the Neon. As you can tell, it's much larger. Here is the Millet Max Evolution, which is the second longest knife I own. Then there's the Olamic Wayfarer 24/7 and the Acid Rain. Here is a Benchmade 940 Osborne, and then the Curtis F3. As you can tell, the Shirogorov 111 is larger than any of the other knives. The blade, as you can tell, is made of M390. It has a full flat ground. It's a drop point blade. There is no jimping on the handle, and it has the Shirogorov Bear logo on the show side and the M390 on the clip side. The method deployment of the knife is by flipper. It has a really strong flipper, and the action is great. It just returns effortlessly with a little shake with the multi-row bearing system. The handle is made of carbon fiber, and it has some diagonal milling on the midsection, and then these two lateral sections are flat and smooth. And the part underneath the clip is also left flat and smooth. This recessed a little bit to give you a little more narrow profile with the 3D milled pocket clip, but that is so that the friction point has no friction underneath it, and your pants can slide in easily without tearing up the fabric. There is a back spacer. All of the hardware and back spacer on this knife are steel. There's a back spacer here. It has a lanyard hold and then jimping in case you need to use a reverse grip like this. And that is the handle. The pivot is by the multi-row bearing system. Some of the 111s on the blade carry a fuller for 2-method deployment. This just has the flipper, but with the multi-row bearing system, you wouldn't want to do anything but the flipper, I think. The lock bar has a captive liner lock. As you can tell, there's a little bit of jimping there, so you can get a better look at it. And on the inside of the liner lock, let me get a knife in here, it says, I don't know if you can tell this, but it says, it has a triangle, and it has an MRBS, which stands for the multi-row bearing system. The pocket clip, as I've mentioned, is a 3D milled clip, and it has the underside, the titanium is smooth, as I've mentioned. The ergonomics on the knife is great, as is the action, and the action really makes this knife. With the multi-row bearing system, it flips out hard, flips out fast, and then returns to its place with just minimal shaking. The detent angle, when you deploy it, is about at 50 degrees. The deployment angle, and the detent angle is less than 10 degrees. As you can tell, it has a lockup of about 40%, and there is no vertical or lateral blade play. It locks up solidly. And as I mentioned, with the multi-row bearing system, it flips hard and as smooth as glass. So what are my impressions about the Shirogorov 111? For what it is, I really like it. As you know, I like smaller, lighter knives, but if you need a pocket sword, I would recommend this one. At 5.1 ounces, it really is the lightest and best of what it is. Are there opportunities for improvement? There is. One of the things that to me I think is odd is that they have this knife which sells for almost $3,000, and they put a cheap little sticker on the pivot, and the pivot is beautiful. It has these proprietary pivots that have a slot that it's nice in that it's proprietary. It adds character to the knife, yet at the same time you can get a small flat-headed screwdriver to remove it. But over that beautiful proprietary pivot, they put this janky little cheap bear sticker. And don't get me wrong, I think the bear logo Shirogorov is beautiful, it's elegant, and it's cool, but the little sticker wears over time. Fortunately, this is an easy problem to solve. You can take this off and throw it away. I've left my sticker on because I intend to sell this someday, and I want it to be in its original state, but most Shirogorov owners just take off the sticker and throw it away. What do I like about the knife? Oh, I love it. It's pure carbon fiber, which is one of the lightest materials. It has beautiful transverse milling to give you a little bit of grip. The proprietary hardware, as I mentioned, had character but can be easily undone with a flathead screwdriver. The steel is a wonderful high-grade steel M390. I think it's one of the best in the industry. And the action with the multi-row bearing system, it flips hard and is completely smooth. So if you want a pocket sword with a 4.5 inch blade and almost a 10-inch knife, I would recommend you get the Shirogorov 111.